COVID-19 pandemic is responsible for the global reset in how business is conducted. In the wake of the worldwide lockdown in March 2020, you can say that everyone packed up shop and went home. Workplaces became ghost towns. Life, as we knew it, suffered a reset. Global tourism was no stranger to this. Before COVID-19 devastated the global tourism industry, popular city tourist destinations across Europe vowed to introduce stricter regulations for short-term rentals. Airbnb reacted by joining forces with other peer-to-peer accommodation platform facilitators at the European level to counteract this development. COVID-19 devastated the tourism industry globally between January and October 2020. International tourist arrivals dropped by 72%, translating into a reduction of 900 million tourists compared to 2019 and pushing international tourism back to activity levels last seen 30 years ago. Airbnb was not spared. Its bookings fell by 96% and its revenue declined by 72%, forcing Airbnb to cut 1,800 jobs in May 2020 and delay its initial public offering, initially planned for early 2020, April 2020. At the height of the coronavirus pandemic, the Airbnb business went into free fall. With customers hunkering at home, revenue tumbled 72% year over year and quarterly losses ballooned to $576 million. So, how did Airbnb come back from near death? Crisis resolution and management defines the best of leaders. Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky and the executives adopted measures and strategies that would focus on the core business, address customer emotions, and meet employee needs, which enabled them to turn around the business or the company so quickly. It was time to take it down a notch. Airbnb decided to scale and focus on what was their core, home rentals. They began streamlining their offerings to include experiences and executive luxury listings and traditional hotels. In practice, according to Airbnb, many people who live in big cities will travel to rural areas. They heavily downsized on their efforts in transportation and media. Redefining customer experiences. In addition, key to the survival of Airbnb was the extension of customer care. In the wake of the pandemic and ensuing of lockdowns, there were global travel restrictions and the company was staring down at lots of cancellations. So they decided to institute a blanket refund policy, offering last-minute cancellations and full refunds. As expected, there were challenges and confusion in the beginning, but the company was committed to do right by their customers. In doing so, it provided relief for customers' apprehensions and convinced hesitant people to proceed with bookings. Airbnb's executives also understood customers' fears about health and safety, so they introduced enhanced cleaning procedures and recommended hosts increase the time between guest stays. The changes were not mandatory, but hosts who adopted them were given a badge to display on their listings, thus conveying transparency and reassuring concerned customers. Charity begins at home. The hardest bit for CEO Brian and his executives were the layoffs. Airbnb let go of 25% of their workforce. This translated to about 2,000 employees. Brian assured his laid-off employees that he would do anything to help them ease out of work, as well as get employment elsewhere. The company provided real help for laid-off employees. They were allowed to keep company-issued laptops, and US employees received a year of health insurance. In addition, Airbnb posted a talent directory of departing employees so other employees could tap them as potential hires. More recently, the company reinstated its employee bonus program and has started to rehire laid-off employees. Airbnb treated their hosts like employees. Early on, it pledged $250 million to help reimburse hosts for cancelled stays and launched a $10 million fund to help them pay their mortgages. It just announced the creation of an endowment fund for giving hosts grants to cover educational support, safety tools, or aid in natural disasters. Chesky said he believed the pandemic had changed travel forever. He suggested 3 main trends would continue long after the coronavirus ended. People will travel less for business and more for pleasure, and more travelers will look outside top destinations and consider smaller communities, and that they will be more interested in meaningful travel versus tourist spots.